Awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, what's up, Hilo News family? Welcome to another episode of the Can We Talk podcast, our show where we talk to dope people in the community doing dope things. And today is no different. I'm really excited to have my next guest on. This is an interview that I've been wanting to have for a very long time, and I'm hoping to learn more about him, and you get to learn more about him. He is running for a congressional seat. He is a young person in the community, so y'all know I love to talk to people who are younger and stepping into, leadership roles. And so without further ado, I would love to welcome to the stage, to the show, Mr. Elijah Manley. Hey, what's up, Elijah?
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Janey, and hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm very excited.
Good morning, good afternoon. When y'all see this, we're pre-recording, but look, it's all good. We wanted to make sure, because I wanted to fit this into your schedule. You have a very busy schedule. So thank you for coming on the Can We Talk podcast, Elijah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here.
Cool.
So glad.
No, thank you. And look, I want to, jump right in. And as you know, Hilo News, we are a hyperlocal news site for Black and Brown millennials and Gen Zs and just the community as a whole. But we like to ground people into community and location. So I want to start there. I read a little bit about you, and I know you're from Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, but let us know, where are you from, where you grew up, what high school you went to, so people can know a little bit about you, Elijah.
Absolutely. So I am from the 33311 from Sistrunk, the heart of Sistrunk. That's where I grew up for most of my life. And I went to the Fort Lauderdale High School. I know some of my brothers went to Plantation High, they went to Diller High, and they talk a lot of trash, but I like Fort Lauderdale High, proud flying though. But before that, I went to Broward Estates Elementary and Parkway Middle. For those of you, Parkway Middle, hello. A lot of my classmates. Class of 2017 from Fort Lauderdale High School, so I am fairly young. And yeah, so I come from the heart of this community, the heart of Fort Lauderdale's Black community. So I tell people say, oh, you're from the hood or whatever. I say I'm from Sistrunk.
Sistrunk, historic Sistrunk, is so much amazing things going on over there. So, thank you for letting us know a little bit about you and where you're from. And, I want to know, so you said you graduated 2017. How old are you, Elijah? I got shoes older than that, Elijah. How old are you, Elijah, for people out there?
I'm 27. High school graduation feels like yesterday. Every time I turn around and I'm hearing it's about to be class of 2026. I'm like, what?
You're about to hit your 10-year reunion, huh?
Right, next year. Hopefully I'm in Congress for it, for my classmates. But it feels like it was yesterday that I walked across that stage at the Broward Center for Performing Arts with my high school degree. Time has moved on, time has flown by so quickly. But I feel like time has been good to me. I've been doing incredible work in the community. I've been, taking my story of my background with homelessness as a child and kind of using that to better the community. And so it will be a pleasure to see what my classmates have been doing next year and see the work that they've been doing and how they've grown. But I swear, it was just like yesterday where I was a senior and we were just taking our finals before we got kicked off of campus, before we walked. And now, I'm running for Congress. It's just insane.
No, that's amazing. For me, I hit 20 years this year. I graduated 2006 from Miami Northwestern and Carroll City. That's another story for another day, but I claim Carroll City for the most part. But it does fly by, but I can still remember my high school years as if they were yesterday. So definitely can relate to you on that. And before we get into, you running for Congress, I want to know a little bit about your professional career and the work that you've done in the community. So, let us know what you do, your profession and some of the, charitable or philanthropic work that you've done in the community. I want people to know a little bit about what you've done and what has built your resume for this time now in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been quite involved for quite a long time. A lot of people, they see young first person and they say, oh, they're a newcomer. I actually have been involved since I was 12 years old, working on political campaigns, speaking at school board and county commission meetings, doing advocacy, whether it was with the Black Lives Matter Alliance or some of the other organizations down here that did work regarding criminal justice reform. But by profession, I've been very lucky to be in the classroom with middle schoolers versus a long-term substitute teacher, and I really love it to be shaping the minds of the next generation. And I know that there's a deficit in the classroom of Black teachers, Black male teachers specifically.
Definitely.
That's a woman's profession, which is nonsense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they need to have role models, and they need people that they can look up to. And I know that some of the best education I got in my life have been from some of my Black male teachers, and I only had like I believe just two of them, and they were in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to be able to have somebody like that. So I've been in the classroom, and I love the work I get to do there. And there's no profession that prepares you for the job of being in public service than being a teacher. I mean, you got to have
That
a lot of
part.
patience. You got to deal with a lot of nonsense. You got to deal with children. And so I tell myself, if I could deal with middle school children and that all day, I can deal with the adult children at the U.S. Capitol and the U.S. House of Representatives. And that's what I'm doing. I've been
That part.
I've been very, very lucky in my adult life to do that work in education, but also in advocacy. I serve on the board of the Downtown Fort Lauderdale Civic Association. I work with both the city, the municipal government, as well as developers to make sure the quality of life for our residents improves in the city of Fort Lauderdale, including with the Council of Fort Lauderdale Civic Associations, making sure that there's some accountability, because that's important, especially on the local government level. I think it's just way too important for us to just look at what's happening nationally. We have to be tuned in to what's happening in our local communities. And I've done incredible work. Advocacy to the school board. I served on 2 school board task forces, facilities task force, which oversaw the $800 million bond program in Broward County and the mess that was. The human relations committee. I worked to make sure that our folks in our community after school enrichment programs, thanks to me, those students had the opportunity to get food after school. They were able to get free meals because we have a big student homelessness population in Broward County. So my work has just been around. See.
I love that. I love that. And, actually, that's a great transition to your run, and just wanted to learn more about, why you wanted to run for the Florida 20th, is it Florida 20th Congressional seat, correct? The Florida 20th district, right? So what was that? Like, a lot of people may start, like, would this be your first public office that you're running for? I want to know more about, like, what made you say, hey, because like you've been speaking, you've been doing stuff in the community and working on committees and doing volunteer work, but what made you say, hey, I want to take this a step further and actually run for office? So is this your first office that you're running for? And then also, too, why this position?
Yeah, so I ran for office before, not Congress. Congress is a different beast. I ran for a state house and I ran for a school board when I was younger. I was straight out of high school, and I said, I'm gonna go for the school board because we needed a voice, a young person. I got 43,000 votes in that race. I didn't think it was possible. I ran for state house, lost that race. It was pretty close in that special, and I wasn't planning on continuing in politics. I'll be honest. I kind of got a little, I was very much like a lot of people. Just upset with politics and apathy, and I wanted to go make money and do something with my life. And I was thinking of law school, actually. I was still politically involved, but I wanted to go to law school, get a law degree, go make money, go help people, which was still important to me. And so this was not really a thing. And then I started to pay attention to the district and the distractions and everything regarding the then congressperson at that time. And I said to myself, like, I don't want to sit and complain about, what I don't like about politics. Go up and do something about it. Because the thing I hate the most is people who just complain. I don't like this. I don't like this person. I don't like what's happening in the community. Well, what are you doing to change it? And I saw Donald Trump come right back into office, a second term. The country's in shambles. The Democratic Party is in shambles. Nobody know what to do. Our people hurting in the district. And I said to myself, this is like if there was a time right now to sacrifice, making money and sacrifice anything, as a young person, the time is now for me to sacrifice that to better the community. I can go and make money later. I can go and build a career and doing something later, but now is the time to put all of that on hold and sacrifice for the community. And so I decided, Florida's 20th district, one of the poorest communities in the country, in the state of Florida, that's been taken advantage of by people. They need somebody to fight for them. And I think I'm the best person to fight for them because I've actually been through the stuff that they were going through. People who can't afford housing, they can't afford their daily needs, their healthcare. That's all stuff I live. And so other people run and everybody can run because it's a democracy. Like a lot of people don't have the lived experience that I have with like spending years of my childhood in homelessness, losing everything as a result of the 2008 financial crisis, being raised by a single mother and seeing her cry and struggle to take care of us with all of the issues that she has as a single black mom in America, and then still being able to produce a young man like myself who's able to run for Congress now. It's just amazing to see that, and I think that is the story of District 20.
Thank you for breaking that down. And I want people to also to know like some of the issues or things that you want to focus on if elected. So what are some of the issues as you've been canvassing in your district, and what are some things that you want to bring forth if you're elected to Congress?
Yep, I think the first thing is this housing crisis. We all know that the rent is going up, it's out of control, and something has to be done about it. And everybody says, oh, we need affordable housing. Great. How are we going to do that? Well, we could get federal funding, of course. We can work with our municipal leaders to build more housing in our community without displacing communities. But also, how do we prevent people from losing their housing in the first place? And so I said, when I get to Congress, I'm going to introduce legislation to make sure that you are entitled to an attorney when you're going through an eviction process. Because right now, when you're going through an eviction process, you're on your own. You get that letter in the mail saying you get 5 days to respond to this, and you have to, or if you don't, you're getting thrown out. Most people, they're not lawyers. They don't know a lawyer. They don't have money for a lawyer. So they're on their own. And as a result, they're getting evicted because they can't even respond to it. And when they do respond, and I learned this, you think, oh, I filed with the clerk of courts. No, you actually got to file with the judge. You have to email the judge. But who would know that unless you went to law school? So you need an attorney. And I think it makes sense to say, okay, whether it's a public defender or legal aid or whatever it may be, the government should require, just like with a criminal case, you have the right to an attorney. With civil cases such as eviction, or could be life or death for people lose everything, you deserve an attorney. And that's what I want to make happen in Congress. But outside of that, I think we have a crisis with healthcare. I strongly believe healthcare is a human right in the richest country in the face of the earth. Nobody should be forced to pay out of their pocket for healthcare. All these other countries have figured it out. The United States can do it as well. And so we have to dream bigger. And I think that's going to be my goal in Congress, is to say, well, why can't we do that? Because Republicans, the thing about them, they don't take no for an answer. They say, well, why? Oh, that's the law. Well, why don't we change it? Why don't we break it? Why don't we do what our people sent us here to do? And I think that's what we have to do in Congress. So when I get there, I want to make healthcare free for everybody, really, but affordable. Those premiums need to go down. Housing more affordable for people. Create good jobs in our community because people want to work. They just can't find jobs that are worth anything that can pay their bills, and we have to deal with that. And I'm ready to deal with that. Bring tech, bring industry in the District 20. I have the connections to do it. I know the people to do it. And I think that's what I will be focused on in Congress.
Thank you for breaking that down, Elijah. And something you said about the Republicans doing what they want to do. So just before we even go into that, are you representing the Democratic Party, the Independent Party, the Green Party, the Republican Party? Like, what party would you be representing or running? What ticket would you be running on for Congress?
I'm a Democrat, and I'm running as a Democrat, but I'm a progressive. I believe that both parties have felt to meet the moment, but I believe the Democratic Party is the best vehicle for change that we have right now, and we can make our party better. And that starts with getting new people in office. We don't need any more 60, 70-year-old people in office, I'm going to be honest. And I love our elders.
Agreed.
Look at this, like 60, 70, 80. And I'm like, when I'm that age, I don't want to be nowhere near Washington, D.C. or the Capitol or none of that. Like,
or any job.
Any job, to be honest. I'm ready to done. They're having my youth now, so I can have my older later to myself.
Has the Florida Democratic Party or the National Democratic Party, thrown their support behind you? What has been those conversations with the party?
I think the party is trying to stay out of the primary just so that it's fair. I think it's in the party's best interest that I'm the candidate, because right now there is an issue the Democratic Party is having with young voters. They're losing voters. I know how to get them back. If anybody listens to me in the party, they'll know exactly how we get younger voters back. I think I can help with that. There's an issue where they're saying, oh, well, black men are leaving the Democratic Party, young black men are staying home and they're not voting. That is an issue. I think a lot of it comes down to the economy. It comes down to them seeing themselves represented uh, in these positions of power and authority. So I think the party will benefit from having young people there, because there's only one Gen Zer in Congress. That's Maxwell Frost, who's doing an incredible job. But one, when we have tens of millions of Gen Zers out here, there's only a few millennials. I mean, something has to change. Like, we can't have, boomers being 60% of the United States Congress and silent generation being another 20. Like, that has to change. They have to pass the baton, and I think in District 20, the people are ready for that.
I thank you for breaking that down. And for me, I agree. I think it's time for millennials and Gen Z, to step up into these leadership positions. So when I saw you were running for Congress, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I like that, that there's someone younger who's running. Everybody can make the decision that's best for them at the ballot. But, I just thought that, like, that could usher in a way to actually, like, to your point, get younger people involved in the political process. Just to correlate it to our audience, because some people may not know the 20th district in Florida for Congress. If you don't know, now former Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, who at this time of this recording stepped down yesterday from her position. She was being investigated by the ethics committee. Hilo News hasn't been reporting on it over the last couple of months on what's been going on with, just alleged mismanagement of money and appropriation of different funds that was sent to her. And so all of that was a storm. And as a result, she stepped down from Congress yesterday. So, but just so you could know, just for location and area, this is the seat that Elijah is running for. And also, too, it was rumored that, God bless her soul, former Vice Mayor Nancy Metier was going to, possibly positioned to run for this seat as well. So just want to give you guys some correlation, just so you can know the area that Elijah is representing. But also, too, Elijah, we don't do salacious stuff over here, but if anybody has been following your run for Congress, they've seen a little bit of a little smoke, a little tussling with the former Congresswoman Sheila. Can you speak to just as much as you can, what was the whole issue with you guys? Because there was even a point where y'all were at a meeting. She said, "Yo, mama," like, it got real ghetto. Like, what is your gripe with her? Or was that ever a gripe with her, like a beef with her?
Yeah, so I don't take anything personal, although, like, when she said to your mama, I took it personal, and my mama took it personal too, and she still ain't let it go. But it was never personal with the Congresswoman. Before she was a Congresswoman, I was helping her, so it was never a gripe. It was, the math was the math. I knew and I saw ahead of time, a year and a half ahead of time, that this was going to happen, and it was going to happen. And I said, this is not good for the party. It's not good for the community. And she has to go. That's just the reality of the situation. She didn't take that well. She didn't take criticism well, and not just from me, from other people, because she was kind of lashing out at everybody in that meeting. I'm her opponent, so the news kind of took that and ran with it. But it was like, I was the last person. It was like 15 other people, and she was lashing out at them. And so I at that time, she was probably going through getting the FBI subpoenas, so it was probably, messing with her mentally. But, I'd just say I'm praying for Sheila. This was never a personal thing. I am praying for her. She has kids. I don't think I don't want anybody I'm not wishing prison on anybody. Some people make mistakes in their life. I certainly have made mistakes in my life, and I got, hopefully, if God willing, a lot more years of my life to make mistakes. So, I'm not, I'm hoping that, putting it in God's hands, that he helps her family, because anybody with children, I don't wish prison on them. My mother did some time in prison when she had children before I was born. And so I get it. I understand it. But, it just wasn't right for the district, and, the people were upset about it. And that's why there was all these polls, and I'm sure she felt the pressure from the community, because all the polls have me leading, because we've been running nonstop and knocking on the doors and reaching the voters. And, we were far ahead of her, and definitely far ahead of the other people in the race. And I think that's going to continue, because we just got in early and we started picking away and doing the work. But I am praying for her. I hope things work out for her. I think it was the right decision to step down from Congress. It was putting her constituents first by stepping down.
Thank you for breaking that down and just sharing that insight with the audience. I definitely I feel like it's the elephant in the room, so definitely wanted to address that. But we both agreed that we didn't want this to be a bash Sheila situation. It's just like, let's address this you know thing that created a lot of headlines. I want to switch gears a little bit because, as you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in DC right now when it comes to the war and healthcare and ICE and things like that. And one thing that a lot of people who have become disenchanted with the political process, it just feels like the Democratic Party, and we kind of spoke on this a little bit, it's like it just hasn't had enough chutzpah, enough fight in them. And also, too, just the numbers haven't
No,
been
80,
in
that's
their
why.
favor. What you said?
No, 80. They don't have no energy left to fight.
That I know they old and crippled. You can't fight that way. But I'm just like, have you thought about what that strategy would be? I feel like there's people like AOC and what's my girl out of Texas,
Jasmine.
um Jasmine Crockett, like they have that energy, and I think they're millennials. But it's like, have you thought about what that would look like going up against that Republican regime that is so strong in Congress? Like, what are your thoughts around that and how to be effective if elected?
Yeah, I think this is a moment that this is an existential crisis for the Democratic Party, an existential moment, and we really have to think about the people we're electing, and not just from oh, this the name I knew or this the person that's been in office before, but who do we really want to be fighting for us on the House floor, in committee rooms, at the White House, in these departments, doing the oversight over this administration? Because I can tell you, in next year, there's going to need to be a lot of oversight. A lot of people need to be losing their jobs, and we need to be causing hell and ruckus. And that's what I plan to do. And we got to start using the Republican tactics against them. Why is it that when they're in power, they get to say, we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to shut down the government. We're going to obstruct. We're going to stop all of this stuff. We don't care what the law says, whatever, your mama, basically. And they do it. And I'm sitting here like, when we get there, we're all, oh, the procedure, the rule, that's not right. We got to compromise. What about the Republicans? You know what? Damn the Republicans in this instance. We need to be saying, if we don't stop ICE from doing what it's doing and we don't work on restoring people's health care, I will be the Democrat to say, I will vote to shut down the government. I'm sorry. If the Republicans want the government open, then the Republicans need to stop terrorizing the country. And that's the energy we need, the energy of fighting back. And I think Jasmine has done that. I think AOC is doing that very well. The younger members are doing that very well. And I'm sitting here looking at the rest of the Democratic Party, and I'm saying, and I know there are a lot of people in Congress that are fighting, so I'm not saying my future colleagues aren't doing anything, but there needs to be more urgency. The moment we're in requires urgency. It requires us coming together and saying what Donald Trump is doing, what the rest of the Republican Party is doing, is not right. And we have to stop it at all costs. And that is what I'm going to do. The strategy is going to be, because that's what the people want to see. That people want to see their elected officials, the people that they are, they elected, fighting for them, not saying, I'm going to throw my hands up and let
passive, yeah.
Right. So I plan to be a Democrat that will fight back, that will instruct the nonsense of the Republican Party, because we have to obstruct fascism. We have to obstruct what ICE is doing. We have to obstruct what they're doing in the courts. And the only way we can do that is by trying. If we're not trying, then what's the point?
No, and honestly, to me, that's been the appeal of the Republican Party. I'm like, I kind of like how they fight and go at it and fight for what they believe in. And I wish that the Democratic Party had more people like you, like a Jazz and like an AOC, who are like willing to stand up. And the crazy thing is this: when you talk to everyday people, and I'm sure you're seeing this as you're knocking on doors and talking to your constituents in your district, people, to your point, want somebody that will stand up for them, that will go to bat for them, that will fight for them. They want to see that effort. They don't want to see the passive stuff. Of course, I do think there's strategy involved and different things you have to do to go on the other side of the aisle, but there are certain things that you just got to stand for, and people want to see that, and people want to feel that energy. That was, honestly, people don't like it, but that's the appeal of Donald Trump to his base. And I wish that we had more people on the other side that had that energy. So kudos to you for saying, hey, I'm going to come in with that South Florida, that Broward razzle dazzle, and bring that to Congress, because I think that would be refreshing to see. And I think that, the voters in the constituents in the community, would like to see that, because we just haven't seen that, especially from somebody younger. I want to switch gears a little bit too, because Hello News, as you know, we are a platform for a younger demographic. for some people, they don't even know what a congressman or congressperson does. So can you break that down to them and why it's important for them to really be tuned into your race or any congressional race that they see that's up for election this year?
Yeah, I say look at these gas prices. I know some of y'all are looking at it and y'all like, where, how, and why is this like this? And
Hmm.
a lot of that is, don't get me wrong, local stuff is important, but a lot of that is because that man up there in the White House and his MAGA Congress, they started that war over there, and you know, starting wars and spending all this money on wars. Meanwhile, your gas prices going up, your housing prices are going up, and that's partly because we elect these people. The people that are in office are a reflection of the community's choices. Like, we elected Donald Trump. We elected this MAGA Congress. And a lot of that is because some people stay home and they don't vote. And I understand why people stay home and they don't vote. I get it. Like, sometimes I look and I'm like, these people just, why am I even doing this? Right. But at the end of the day, this is our future. And if we want to live in a world where we can afford to live, we can afford housing, we can afford healthcare, where we don't have to worry every day about a government like terrorizing us, it's really our choice. It's in our hand, and we can vote. And so the good people oftentimes don't run for office because the good people don't show up to vote them in the office. And that's the reality of the situation. Everyone wants to say politics is corrupt. And yes, there's a lot of corruption in politics. But at the end of the day, the government is a reflection of the people right now. And, we voted these people in, and now they're saying we don't care and we want to do whatever we want. And we can do better. And I'm telling to all the young people, like, Congress, that's deciding fiscal policy in our country. It's deciding war or no war. It's deciding what happens with the healthcare that you have, the premiums that you have that have skyrocketed. Mine is $900 a month now when it was $174. That's what the federal government and Congress responsibility is bringing that down. Everything happening with AI, happening with technology, with jobs, with labor, those are mostly federal issues that Congress is focused on. And Congress is supposed to be your voice. Or you're having an issue with food stamps, or you're having an issue with your veteran benefits or immigration. You call your congressional office and say, hey, I'm having an issue with immigration or with the DHS. Can you help? And it's the Congress member's job to help you, because that is the power they have and the oversight responsibility they have. And so if you're a young person, I'm saying, like, really, you have power. You may not think you have power and that this is a system that is in all of this stuff, but if you didn't have power, they would not be spending so much time trying to take it away from you. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to take it away from you, because they would have already said, we already won. They know the power of young people. They know the power of our communities. That's why they're trying to take away the vote. That is why they're suppressing the vote, and they're doing all this nonsense, because they know you're powerful. If you didn't have it, they would be like, who cares what you think? But they do. They do care what's happening. And that's why they're trying to take your power away. So use it before we actually do lose it. We're one of the biggest generations. Both millennials and Gen Z come together, we can control the whole system. But we got to do something.
No, thank you for breaking that down, Elijah. And just also too, Congress, for people like you, they establish the budget, right? And they also too establish the laws or present laws of the federal government, correct? Just so people,
all the judges, all the laws that they pass the federal government budget. So when you get that Pell Grant for college, that's Congress. Congress passed that Pell Grant. When you get that tax refund, that's because Congress allows you to get the tax refunds. Everything you deal with in your day-to-day life is a byproduct of Congress's decisions. And so it's so important that, we know who the people are that are representing us, and we know the districts that we're running in. And just so everyone know, redistricting is about to happen in Florida, and so people need to keep their eyes on what's happening next week. They're trying to take our vote away and our representation away, and they could succeed if we sit down and we don't pay attention to it.
Wow, thank you for sharing that information, Elijah. I know our time is coming to an end, so I want to give you a chance to, tell people, why they should vote for you, and any upcoming information or any ways they can connect with you, donate to you, learn more about you. But definitely start with, why does the residents in District 20 deserve your vote?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is we're all upset. I know we're all looking at the political system. We think it's corrupt. We look at it. We think they care more about rich people and billionaires, and that is true. That is what politics have been like. I'm giving up my entire youth and the first half of my life where I should be doing other stuff, making money, partying, doing whatever. to give back to the community, because I know what it's like to be on the outside. I know what it's like to be living on the street, and I know what it's like to live with a single mother and her struggling to make ends meet to put me through school and to make sure that I have all the tools I need to succeed. And so I'm not, coming here as politician man in the suit guy. I am literally just a byproduct of the community. I'm no better than anyone. I'm not special. And I think that's what we need in Congress. I think we need people that want to fight for our community because they've been there, because everybody want to talk. Everybody want to say, I'm this and I'm that, and I want to run and I want to be in Congress. But what do people actually want to do? Why do they want to be there? And what prepared them for this moment? And I've developed thick skin, tough skin, a thick mentality, because I've been in the streets and I know what it's like. And so I'm asking for people's vote, because I think we can do better than what we got. And we can do better than someone telling us we can't pass healthcare for all, or we can't fight to make sure everyone can afford their housing. There's so many excuses in government about what we can and we can't do. I refuse that. I think we can do better. We can have a better society, but I need your vote. I need your support to make it happen. If you want to fight, or if you want somebody that's going into the system, and punching back, I think I'm the guy. And if you support me, I think going to ElijahManley.com is the best way. So you can learn about me, read about what I'm doing. I have probably the most extensive platform of anybody running. I have like 12 pages on there, every issue, what I'm going to do. And I sat there and wrote out every single thing that I believe and I want to do. And ask me the tough questions. I have no problem being asked the hard questions. Ask me, sign up for alerts, donate to the campaign as well, listen to the videos, everything, and learn more about me. I think I have a lot of earning to do of trust for the district, and I want to earn the trust.
Love it, love it, love it. And you're on social media too as well, Elijah, right?
That's right, on Instagram.
So what platforms are you on, and what's your Instagram handle, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you got that people can connect with you?
Yep, I would say Instagram is at Real Elijah Manley. X/Twitter at Elijah Manley, and we're also on Facebook. It's just Elijah Manley, is the handle, and then I think I'm also on TikTok at Elijah Manley Florida, or FL. So follow me on all those platforms. I think they're at the bottom of my website as well, and yeah, I look forward to hearing from everybody.
Love it. Elijah, this has been an amazing conversation. You are now friend of the show. This is your official first interview, but I hope this will not be the last.
I want to come back when I'm in Congress too, like before.
Yes, when you're in, because we got to give updates throughout this election cycle. Definitely want to see you again. Just talking about just different things that are going on and what people should be paying attention to as you're campaigning. God bless and Godspeed out there as you're knocking on doors and talking to the community. High-Low News, we're not telling you who to vote for, but we are presenting people to you so you can make the best decision for your life. And also to pay attention to who comes on into our spaces, who comes to us directly to speak to us. That says a lot about who they are and who they want to reach. So again, Elijah, thank you to you and your team for reaching out to High-Low News and saying it was important to be on this independent, Black-owned, woman-owned, made in Dade, South Florida, product of media. And I appreciate that, especially when we have people running for these bigger offices that see value in coming to speak to our audience. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you, Elijah, for coming on. This was, a dope conversation.
You got it. Anytime.
Yes. High-Low News family, this has been another amazing episode of the Can We Talk podcast. You guys got the information on Elijah's campaign. Go check him out. Tell him High-Low News sent you. Make the right decision for your life, Florida District 20. And we will see you guys next time. It's been another great episode. Thank you, Elijah. Peace.
Thank you all.